Today's homework is 8/20/24. So you see that? You always go by the date. There's no excuse.
No excuse.
It's always the black mamba mentality. Here we go. Okay, so today is 8/20, so I'm going to open this guy. Here it is. We always do everything on, this time we're going to do it in the homework journal. So if you have your homework journal, the title of your homework journal would be 6.2b, absolute value, opposite, and absolute value. If you don't have a homework journal, then you need to come and get loose leaf paper. And if you owe me this packet, you better bring it. I'm gonna wait for it. I'm gonna call home about this packet too. This packet, second period, needs to turn in this packet already, please. If you need loose leaf paper or you have the packet, thank you to those kids that brought the packet. I appreciate it so much. You're very behind. I will catch you up. Don't worry. So probably during PE, sir. Anyone that's been absent so many times, I will probably give you a pass, and eventually I'm gonna bring you back during third period. When is your PE, son? Oliver, when is your PE? PE class. When do you have gym? You don't know. Okay, we'll figure it out later on.
It's the first period.
Okay.
That's his first period. Gym is first period. So that's his first period.
Here we go. If you have a homework journal, at the very top, copy this. Finding opposite and absolute value. If you have a homework journal, copy that. On the very top. Remember, not the notes journal, a homework journal. So, which one is the notes journal? The notes journal is the one that has the piece. The homework journal should be completely empty right now. And the very top page, number one, at the left. This month I'll use yours at this time. You don't have to copy this. The rayases, I'll be using yours. Okay. On your homework journal at the very top, copy that. Finding opposites. This is your homework journal. Okay? I said that you already need it. If you don't have a homework journal, you're gonna do it on loose leaf paper. But then I'm gonna make you transfer that over here. Because everybody has to have a homework journal. So I'm gonna put HW. What is HW for, do you think? Homework. And then the title of this homework is Finding Opposites and Absolute Value. So I'm gonna put there. Finding opposites and that's the word "and" by the way. Absolute value. And the date is 8/20/24. And the homework, I put HW again, would be questions 1 through, I think there's 6 or 5. How many are questions are there? Those that already opened it? 6. But I'm doing how many questions with you? 2. But I'm going over all of them with you. Okay? Here we go. At home, you'll be doing question 1 by yourself. Here's question 1. All they want to know is what is the opposite of 8. Do not say it, but you should know opposites. In case you forgot what opposites are, who's the opposite of 10? The opposite of 10? -10. Who's the opposite of -15? 15. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So here's how I would do it. What's the question? Opposite of 8. What's the facts? 8. What's the strategy? Probably draw a number line is what I would draw. Okay? Because in the number line I would draw on one side a dot with a number and the other side a dot like our notes. Do you remember those dots? That would be the strategy and then go get the answer. Question with number 1. Number 2. The absolute value of a number is 14. Which number could be that? Okay, this is a tricky one. So I'm going to do an example so you know what to do at home and then you're going to do yours by yourself. So my example is here. On the side, I do this. You don't copy none of this. It's on the video as an example. Okay? So here we go. I do examples for the when the problems or come something different that you're not used to, okay? Come on. There you are. So it says there, number 2 says this. That's, let me go get it. Number 2, there you go. Let me go a little bit more. There we go. Now I'm ready to go. Number 2 says the absolute value of a number is 14. Okay. So if I was doing this at home, which you will be doing it at home, you would do this. Number 2. Don't copy this. This is an example of number 2. You'll be on the video in case you forget. So my question is, they want me to find a number. That's the question. The facts. Here comes the facts. I'll give you lo bueno. Here's where kids mess up. The facts is the absolute value of a number. Do we know that number, what you're talking about? No. But we know the absolute value of a number means I do not know, so I'm going to call it x. Is in math means equal, is 25. I changed it because I don't want to do yours. So let me explain this one more time. The facts would be the absolute value, here's the bars, absolute value, of a number. No sé quién es el número, so I'm going to call him x. When we don't know what the number is, we call him x. Is in math means equal, there's my equal. 14, I changed it to 25 for mine. Questions? Strategy. Strategy is that absolute value is how far you're from where? Who remembers how far you're from what? You don't remember, hombre? It's in your notes.
Oh.
How far you're from 0, the distance from 0. Okay? Those two bars means absolute value. Okay? Now that I know that, what could be x if I wanted to be 25 away from 0? What could be an answer of x? If I wanted to be 25 away from 0, what could be the answer then? Huh? Good job, 25 could be one of the answers. The absolute value, my bad with that. Ay, ay, ay. That was me. Let me undo. Let me start again. The absolute value of 25 equals 25. So is Alice correct that the x has to be 25? Yes. Could it be something else that we learned? Or only 25 could be the answer? Very good, Mija. Wow, Mija. Good. It could also be the other side, negative 25. The absolute value of negative 25 is also 25. So what would be the answer? 25 could be the, or it could also be negative 25. This would be the answer. And then I would just box it and go find what they want. The way I just did number 2, you're going to go to number 2 yours. Same thing, but instead of talking about 25, they're talking about number what? 14. Question with number 2. It's the reading, we have to be careful of the reading, okay? Very good at this, she remembered. Now, those that don't remember, you do have notes. And look what it said. Absolute value is the distance in numbers from 0. So if I have the absolute value of 5 is 5, the absolute value of negative 5 is also 5. So that's why Alice said it could be 25 or it could be negative 25 in our example that we did. But you have these notes. You also have the notes of the opposites. If I forget, I forgot the opposites. You also have those notes. I don't know where I have mine, but you have the notes. I'll show them right now. But I think we're doing pretty good with opposites. Questions with number 2. Number 3. They want the absolute value of negative 3.75. We just did one. You should know how to do it. Okay? So they want the absolute value of negative 3.75. So if I tell you, do an example of this. If I tell you what's the absolute value of 1.80, you're gonna do this. Number three, absolute value of 1.80. Those bars mean absolute value. That's my question. What's the facts? 1.80. What's the strategy? Absolute value is the distance to where? The distance to what? To zero. And I'm ready to attack it. How far is 1.80 from zero? What's 1.80? No, in this case, no. Because it's just, they're asking about him only. That's it. The answer is 1.8. You're not going to say negative 1.8 because they want to know the absolute value. This time they want to know the absolute value. When they want to know the absolute value, the answer can never be negative. In the other one, they gave me the absolute value already. That's why it could have been negative or positive because they already gave it. We're trying to find who was the guy. Okay? I'm not giving you answers for number three. You have to go home and do it. I'm giving you examples in the video so that when you go home, you're able to do it. Question number 4. Again, they want the absolute value of who? Of 1 out of 3. So let me do an example of number 4. Guys, basically by me doing an example, I'm kind of giving you the answer also, okay? That's why go watch the video if you're all confused at home today. Okay? Number 4. This is not the word for your homework. It's examples that I'm making up. The question says the absolute value of 3/5. Is that what question number 4 says? No. Mr. Rivera give you another example so you know what to do. That's the question. Facts. Who are they talking about in this problem? In mine. 3 out of 5. What's the strategy always when we're dealing absolute value? The distance to what? The distance to 0. You could also draw a number if you want to. Because you're counting from 0 to the number. So what would be the absolute value of 3/5? What would be the absolute value of 3/5? 3/5? That's the answer. I go choose it. Okay? What if it was negative 3/5? What would be the answer? Still 3/5. Question with number 4. Number 5. That one I'm going to do with you right now in the journal. So how many problems do you have for homework? 1 through what? 4. I mean, I'm going to do 5 and 6 with you, that's right. So you have 1 through 4 for homework, and I'm doing 5 and 6 right now with you. Okay? Ready? But I'm going to go to the journal. Mark wrote a statement that is true for any positive number. Which statement could have been written? Okay? So now I'm going to go to my journal. I'm using Alice's journal right now. And we're doing number what?
Number
5. So we put the number and circle it. Just help me out. What was the question? Statement that is what? True. Statement that is true. Okay? Did they give me any facts? Did they give me any facts? It's a positive number. It's a positive number, so I do know something. It's a positive number. So that is a fact that's important. So it's not a negative. It's going to be a positive number that he wrote. Right? And then the strategy, what did I tell you yesterday that when we're doing statements, what's our strategy always? Try all what? What we when we're doing statements, what we have to try? All the what? All the answer choices. You're gonna be good. I can see it. Now you just need to be responsible. It doesn't work, and then we're gonna be perfect. I think you're gonna be good. Strategy: try all answer choices, guys. That's what we do when we're doing statements. So let me try letter A. Who can read letter A for me? Go ahead, sir.
Its opposite is positive and its absolute value is positive.
Okay. So the opposite
Teachers, at this moment, please post your attendance.
positive.
Thank you. Teachers, at this moment, please
And
post
the
your
absolute
attendance.
value
Thank you.
equals positive? Yes?
Yes.
But he wrote a positive number, so if the opposite of what would be the opposite of a positive number? If I wrote a positive number, what would be the opposite of a positive number? Negative. So could this be a good answer? No, because they're saying that the opposite would be a positive. That cannot be true because he wrote a positive number. And if you write a positive number, your opposite has to be a what? A negative. So letter A, out. Letter B. What does it say, somebody?
B.
What does letter B say?
It's a
¿Qué dice letter B?
its opposite is a positive and its absolute value is negative.
Its opposite is a positive. We just said that that's not what? Possible. But look at even the other one is even worse. He said that the absolute value is negative. Can the absolute value ever be negative? Can the absolute value ever be negative? No. The absolute value can never be negative, so letter B is real dumb. Absolute value can never be a negative. That is not true. It can never be a negative because absolute value has to be positive because it's distance, and distance is positive. So we found dumb and dumber already. Letter C. Read it. Somebody.
Its opposite is negative and its absolute value is positive.
Okay, its opposite is negative. Okay, so if I write a positive number, would my opposite be negative? Yes, that checks that part. What was the next part? The absolute value is what, Mr. Shorby? The absolute value is negative? Can absolute value be negative? So, huh? Is okay, read letter C again to make sure.
Its opposite is negative and its absolute value is positive.
Okay. So the opposite was negative. That can happen because we want the answer to be positive, right? And the absolute value is what you said? Positive? Good. So letter C looks good. Letter D.
Its opposite is negative and its absolute value is negative.
Can absolute value ever be negative? No. So letter D is out.
C.
So the answer is C. Let me explain. I'm gonna highlight here with this just so you can see. The highlighters there the teacher made. You can change the color to something that's better highlighted. I'll choose pink. The problem with this guy was that the opposite cannot be positive because he wrote a positive. So if you wrote a positive, your opposite has to be negative. Letter B, absolute value can never be negative. That's the problem with letter B. Letter C, absolute value is positive. That's true. It has to be positive. The opposite is negative. That is true because if he's a negative, what would be the opposite? A positive. So that's why letter C is the best one. Letter D, the problem is this guy. The absolute value can never be negative. That's dumb. So I highlighted why it's dumb. Absolute value can never be negative. And this guy is dumb because the opposite of a positive is not positive. The opposite of a positive is what? Negative. So it cannot be down. both cannot be positive. If it's these opposite, they can be both positive. Now look at this guy. The opposite of a negative. What's the opposite of a negative, guys? What's the opposite of a negative? The opposite of a negative.
Positive.
Positive. Isn't that what they have? Positive? And what's the absolute value of a positive? The absolute value of a positive.
Opposite.
The absolute value of a positive.
Positive.
Positive. Absolute value always has to be what? Positive. That's why letter C is the answer. D. Ready?
Yes.
The opposite of the integers is 72. So, who can be the integer if 72? What's the opposite of 72? Okay, so this guy could be the answer. Right? So we know that whomever has 2 is an answer. So this guy can be an answer, and this guy can be an answer. So G and H are out. Now let's read the next statement. The absolute value of the integer is 72. Is the absolute value of 72 72?
Yes.
Is the absolute value of 72 72? Yes. So guess what? 3 is good. Let's try the next one. The absolute value of the integer is negative 72. Can the absolute value of an integer be negative 72? No, I just said a bunch of times. The absolute value of an integer can never be what?
Um,
The absolute value of an integer can never be what? It has to be positive. What can it never be? Negative. The absolute value of an integer, of a number, can never be negative. It's always what? Positive. That's why the number 4, Roman number 4 is wrong. Because it says the absolute value of an integer is negative 72. That's not true. It's never negative. Absolute value is never what? Negative. It has to be positive. Now opposites can be negative. Because if you have a positive number, what's the opposite of a positive number? A negative number. But absolute value can never be negative. So what's the answer? F or H?
H.
H. The 2 and 3 are true.
H.
I just said it's H. So when I go home today, you already have 2 answers. Okay? You have H, and we said the answer here was who? C. Okay? Because, you know why it's C, right? You still don't get it? Look, Mark wrote a positive number. Give me a positive number, somebody. 9. So Mark wrote 9. Okay? What would be the opposite of 9?
Negative.
So that's why, look, his opposite would be negative 9. What would be the absolute value of 9? The absolute value would be positive 9. That's why the answer is C. In case you're still confused. Now in this one, the opposite of an integer is 72. So what's the opposite of 72? Negative 72. What's the absolute value of 72? 72. That's why it's these two. Questions? Okay? Your homework is 1 through 4, guys. It's very easy, easy score. Okay? And if you did not do my test from yesterday, because right now I'm going to pick up the ones that did do it, 819, that's also your homework, but I'm going to deduct points and I am going to call home. If you give it to me today, by the end of the day, which is by 2:45, I will not call home because you gave it to me. But make it the last time, and I'll put it in the video so you can see that you do that. I don't like you to turn in late work. I'll accept it because I don't want you to get a 0. I don't want you to fail. But I'm calling home and tell your parents, you know what? Please check on your kid. I send homework every day, and it's not a lot. Yesterday was 4 problems. Today is again what? 4. And I did the harder ones. The harder ones are the ones that I did. The ones that you're going to do at home are a piece of cake. Okay? Papitas, como dicen. If I'm confused with opposites and all that, you will go to your journal, your notes journal, and you go to the section called opposites, which is page 2. And you read, what are opposites? Absolute value, I forgot. You go read. What's absolute value? Absolute value is the distance in numbers from 0. So how far is 5 from 0? 5. How far is negative 5 from 0? 5. No, not negative 5. It's always what? I just said it's always what? Absolute value is always what? But what type of number is he always? Positive. Absolute value, you'll never have a negative answer. Okay? And I hope you already answered these because you owe me this work. You owe me this. I'm going to collect the journal tomorrow. I'm letting you take it again in case you need it for today's homework. Questions?
No.
Okay, so I will stop the video. The video will be up by third period. It'll be under this guy. It'll be under here, the video that we're recording right now. So you're responsible. You owe me this, guys. You owe me tomorrow's homework has to be done by the time you come to me. On the homework journal. And then you're gonna come in here, submit. If you have a device to submit at home, submit in la casa. So you can know how you're doing. This guy that was a test, you should have done it yesterday. I even sent you a reminder at night. I send you a reminder at night. Go read the stream sometimes to remind you of things. Okay? Let me pause the thing. Oh, one more thing for second period. Or for all classes. You guys need to take this to your second period class. This packet is so important because your parents, in case they need to pick you up or the nurse needs to help you, we need to have signatures here. So this packet, you need to bring it as soon as possible, please. Okay? Okay, let me stop the video and I will answer your questions, ma'am. I will.